Honestly, Duffy's been really distracted for a little while. Um, and it's sort of been getting on my nerves. And I was wondering what's going on with him. He just seems like he's distant and he's nervous about something. And then, I tried to talk to him about some stuff, and he sort of opened up to me about the stuff that happened with his uncle a little bit more. I mean, I knew about it before, but I think because he's going to have to go to New York soon, that it's sort of eating at him. And I said maybe he should take some time and, just get away. So, take a vacation and then maybe write a letter to his uncle so that he could get those feelings out, at least get some closure. Not that you're necessarily going to get anything out of it, but just so that you're putting that out there into the world. He may never even respond, but that's not the point. The point is that you let your feelings be known about whatever it is. And so I am hopeful that once that is complete and once he's able to put those feelings out into the world and be able to to say what he thinks, that he's going to be a lot more focused, because he has been just really distracted by that. And I've never seen, that's not true. I have seen people, like parrot abuse and parrot, what their, people that raised them have said in their heads before. But like, it seems like every negative voice that this guy has is from his uncle. And that's ridiculous. That 1 year of living with somebody can wreck you for the rest of your life. Like, all sorts of negative beliefs about yourself, all sorts of like, terrible things that you say to yourself, like, and like people, I have that issue myself sometimes, and people, fight with, self-esteem and whatnot. But to literally have that be personified in a person and have it be like, somebody that's supposed to be taking care of you after a traumatic experience, have that be personified in a person and then have that person's voice in your head for the rest of your life, that's ridiculous.
Let's talk about how sick I am. Hey everybody, John Duffy here. Welcome back to Origin Story. This is going to be more of an OS vlog than it is a traditional OS video. I know that I want those to come out every other Monday, and that's technically today, but whatever. I've been sick. Very sick. And living in South Carolina, you hear a lot about this thing coming called Hurricane Florence. Something that's coming our way, and it might not affect us here in Greenville County. We might get some rain. We could also get a Category 1 hurricane. Not quite sure. It's actually very much up in the air. Models keep showing it coming this way. Obviously, Florida's getting hit. I know that Myrtle Beach is going to get hit, most likely, by a very powerful Category 4 storm, or maybe even Category 5. I'm not entirely sure right now. Over here on the inland side of South Carolina, though, it could be mostly harmless, but who knows. In the spirit of being just prepared for something happening, I am off to go get some water and some food that does not need to be cooked, just in case. It's not likely we'll need it, but better to have it on hand than not have it at all. So I'm still sick. It's only gotten worse. I'm probably on the upward swing now. I'm probably going to be getting better very soon here. Excuse me. Well enough to go out and drive, but not well enough to exercise or anything like that. Very tired very easily. So I guess it's a good thing that Spider-Man came out for PS4 this week, because that means that I got to play quite a bit of it over the weekend. And I'll probably play some more today too while I continue to recuperate. We did have our little vacation, and that's where we all got sick, and we hardly did anything fun. Got to go to the beach for all of 5 minutes to get some footage and to introduce Emryn to the ocean and sand. She was not a fan. But then again, she was even less of a fan of pools, apparently. So that was not something she enjoyed. So let's talk about the big old bear in the room. The bear? Elephant. Well, kind of a bear. We talked about in the last video I put up, where I vlogged right before the vacation, I was talking to you about my uncle Kira. Not his actual name, just the name we're going with to protect the guilty. When I say guilty, I mean guilty. If you haven't seen the last video, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to bother with much of a recap. But in case you did see it and just have you have a bad memory like I do, parents died, sister died, all within a very short time frame. I was immediately placed in the care of my very angry and very emotionally, mentally abusive uncle, who I have lived in fear of and with PTSD from ever since then. This all took place 15 years ago. So, keep in mind for this part of the story here, my dad's side of the family was looking for me because I was essentially just picked up by my mom's side of the family, dropped off at this uncle's house in the upstate, which put, a good bit of distance between me and my dad's family. Because my mom's family didn't want my dad's family to have me or see me or anything. I still don't know why. They're very devious, deceptive, liars. And if any of them see this video and they think that's kind of harsh, well, maybe if you actually told me the truth about the thing, especially when I asked you questions about it, you actually told me what was going on, I wouldn't have to say that. That is the truth. So, there you go. So moving along, Kira, like I said, emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, manipulative. Man was smart enough to never lay a hand on me, but he was still physically abusive. He just had me do the physically abusive stuff to myself. That isn't too far off from the truth, actually. I'm going to find a parking spot here and finish the story real quick before I go in and get water. Thankfully, people aren't, rushing the stores to get stuff. It's not, that level of an emergency yet. Not for us over here, at least. Anyway, Kira was the kind of man that you'd say he doesn't believe in mistakes. To him, mistakes are willful disobedience. Mistakes are things that deserve to be punished. Real men don't make mistakes. And real men don't show emotion. Remember, I was a 13-year-old kid at the time, and I had just lost my family, and he caught me crying one day, and that was unacceptable to him. He said that he didn't want his girls, his daughters, to see a man crying, so he sent me to my room and told me to stay there until I was done. I was never allowed to do that again. Which is ridiculous, because, even as a man, I was a kid then, but even as a man now, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an adult man, doing manly things like working out and taking care of my family and stuff, but I cry sometimes over silly things. I can't get through Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I can't watch the last season of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood without crying, and I've seen that thing from start to finish like 7 times now. Love that show. And of course, I cry for more serious things, and emotions are fickle. Sometimes it makes sense to cry in a situation, and you just can't. And sometimes it doesn't make any sense to cry, and you just do. Sometimes emotions are fickle that way. And for me, I don't know, I feel like I don't cry as often as I should in situations where it would make more sense. I don't know why. It's just weird that way. So anyway, moving along, back to this thing. So, yeah, it was a lot of cry at his house. Okay, that's one thing. And, some people might say, well, that's a certain kind of parenting style. Whatever. Another thing that would go on. Let's talk about grades, all right? So I was homeschooled before this. I was homeschooled with no experience with a formal school setting at all. In fact, my mom didn't even do a good job homeschooling me, because most days I didn't do anything. She would forget, and I wouldn't remind her because I was a kid who didn't care about doing school. So I actually had quite a few disadvantages here, but somehow managed to adapt to this formal school setting going to school every day and doing schoolwork, and I wasn't doing terrible with my grades. Some classes I was doing very well in. Some classes, I was getting my C's and whatnot, and that was all right. But there was one class that I kept on failing. I failed like every quiz and every test for the first half of the year, and this was physical science class. Now, I sucked at memorizing all those formulas that our teacher, Mrs. Guadagno, wanted us to memorize, and she was very harsh. If you failed any quiz, any test, it was after school detention for you. And Uncle Kira would have to pick me up if I had detention, because the school buses don't run for after school detention time slots, so he'd have to come pick me up. And this to him was me slighting him. It was me offending him. I was doing this to him on purpose. He acted like he told me that I was ruining his marriage because I was having these after school detention periods. Now, did he ever offer to help me learn the stuff, help me memorize the stuff, figure out where the disconnect was? No. Instead, he just let it continue and would lecture me, punish me at home. He'd put me in my room for an hour, so I'd get even more detention. And he was very disappointed in me, blah, 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 blah. And he said I was ruining his marriage, which, for a kid who'd already lost a family, being told you're ruining a marriage is very scary. And, to hear that, be like, oh, gosh, am I doing this? No, I wasn't ruining any marriage. Look, if that marriage can survive him being half of it, then it can survive anything. Physical abuse. There was this one time where I made a mistake. Again, everything was a mistake. I left the weed whacker out overnight, and it rained, which meant that it got rained on, and that means that it stopped working. And he said that because I let that happen, because I made that mistake, he handed me a dull pair of scissors and said to go cut the backyard with the scissors in the scorching heat of June. And it was like, I blacked out. I know I blacked out several times. And the biggest thing, the one that caused me the most problems to this day, would be the fact that he kept calling me fat. Now, look at me now. Yeah, I'm fat. I accept that. I tell people, yeah, I'm fat. I'm working on it, though. When he was telling me I was fat, I was skinny. I was skinny bones. I was 160 pounds, 6 foot tall, 14-year-old when the Duffy side of my family finally found me. They got visitation rights ordered, and they saw me, and they were terrified because it looked like I was malnourished. And he kept calling me fat. He kept calling me fat because I had little lumps of fat on my chest, man breasts. But that wasn't due to fat. The rest of my body was super skinny. These were due to hormone imbalances, which he should have known if he had any intelligence whatsoever about raising a son. And I don't care that he didn't have a boy already. You're a man. You should understand that. That can happen when someone is fat, but this kid's not fat, so maybe there's something else going on here. At the very least, think about it. Anyway, the Duffys got visitation rights. Seeing me essentially malnourished was enough for them to, I think that was, all it took for them to really be able to sue for full custody of me. And when I was asked by my lawyer who I wanted to stay with, I asked Uncle Kira. I said, hey, you and I together outside somewhere, just him and I asked him, what should I do? And he said that I should just choose whatever I want. It's not his decision. I took that as a go-ahead. Told my lawyer, yeah, I want to go live with anyone else. All right, someone over on my dad's side of the family. And when it was revealed that that's what I said in court, Uncle Kira came home. I saw him come home, walk through the door, told me to disappear. That was followed by yelling. It was followed by so much yelling. But my year was over. And it wasn't much longer before the Duffys came, got me and my stuff, got me out of there. I'm very thankful they got me out of there. I just wish I wish I had had the chance to tell Kira what I thought of him, what he did to me. He still doesn't really know the extent of everything that happened. And guys, thanks to your support, because in the last video, you guys gave me some support in the comment section. I finally have the guts, I think, to write him a letter and actually mail it out.
And guys, life goes on. I can sit here and feel sorry for myself, have a little pity party, and it will do me literally no good. I've got to move on. This is all about getting closure, and I really do think it helped. I wasn't sure how it would help when I started talking to you guys about this, but now I feel like I can move past it, because saying all of this to you, thinking about it as carefully as I did to make sure I didn't say anything untrue, allowed me to finally realize that this actually happened. It was as bad as it felt like in the moment, and I've not been, and I've been wrong to try and pretend like it wasn't so bad. And now that I've gotten to this point where I can say that, I feel better. And why shouldn't I? I've got an awesome wife, a beautiful, smart little girl that's impressing me every single day. I'm working with Steven on real anime training. I'm getting my life in order. All of the consequences to what my uncle did to me, they're fixable. I can lose this weight. It's not too late. I've not died or gotten a disease from all of this weight yet. So that's, I'm very lucky in that sense. I'm very lucky that he never did anything irreversible to me. I know a lot of people, can't say that about whoever abused them. So to you watching, I say, if you've been abused, first off, if you're being abused, please seek help. If you've been abused and it's over now, and it's something reversible, the consequences are reversible, get to work on reversing them. If they're not reversible, get to work on making the best of your life either way. Because toxic people, abusers like my uncle, have no claim to your time, your energy, or even your thoughts. It's time for us all to just move forward. And I'm hoping this was the last obstacle in my way from finally achieving my goals, my dreams. I think Origin Story is about to get a lot more interesting.
After a traumatic experience, have that be personified in a person and then have that person's voice in your head for the rest of your life, that's ridiculous. So I guarantee that once he gets through all of this stuff, I think we're going to see a brand new mental shift in Duffy's, and I'm very excited to see that.
Need help with the wine bottle? This?
Yeah.
So you how somebody who's been training for the last year handles stuff like this.
Okay.
I've never done this before, just so you know. Look at this thing. Look how I'm destroying this thing.
Maybe you're supposed to put the ears down. I always thought you had the ears up, but maybe put the ears down and you pull from the tab part here.
Oh my gosh! I feel like we went through this before. Like, early on in the marriage, we did the same exact thing.